Hello everyone, welcome to my corner of the world, and today I'm going to share some Christmas tags, and they're kind of really super posh Christmas tags, and it's one of the things that I continually forget until the last minute. So here we are, just coming into December, and I thought, well, I'm going to make some tags, and I'll switch my camera on and share them with you. So we've got some nice embossing going on, some stamping and some die cuts and some punching. So lots of different techniques that you could use some or all of if you decide to follow what I'm going to do. So I've got a red and a navy one at the moment. They're not exactly the same. They're, you know, slightly different in terms of length. But for this video, I'm going to do one in a nice deep green, and I've got some pieces cut here. Now, this is 2 inches wide, and I'm just going to use this punch to cut the top, and that's why it's 2 inches wide, because it fits in there absolutely beautifully to cut the top off. I'll get rid of you there. And then I've got 2 pieces, both of which are 1 7/8, so it's just a tiny bit narrower than my green piece. And I'm trying to think what I think they're 5.5. Yeah, so they're 5.5 inches long, and so there's my 2 pieces there, and we're gonna do a little bit of stamping here. Right, so I've got nice trees here and a nice dark green, and this is the stamp set that I'm using. I'm stamping up one, I believe it's long since retired, and just as I have recently, well, in the last year, retired from Stampin' Up as a demonstrator when I moved back to the UK. So let's get, oh, that's a bit stiff. So I'm just going to stamp a couple of times on my piece of card, and I want to get like 2 on, but I don't mind. I don't mind having them sort of hanging off, and I'm just going to do them at slightly different levels. Just give a moment for that ink to sink in. So that's that bit, and then I've got a greeting, and this is a lovely greeting, again from another set from my stash. Wishing you a Merry Christmas. Again, I don't think this one is current anymore. They don't put the date on them, so I'm thinking this must be about 2002, maybe 2003. But I'm sure that you will have a super greeting in your stash that you could use. Now, I'm just going to use this to just make sure that ink is dry before I emboss, because I don't want to have those embossed as well. Now, whereas on these I used gold, this one I'm using silver, because I've got this lovely pack of silver ribbons that I'm going to use. So that's what we're going to do. So I get my little tray for embossing, and I'm going to put my greeting at the top, and then rather than have got some, oh, I think this cardstock is sparkly. I think it's got sparkle in it. I just realized I must have grabbed a piece. And now, rather than have my trees floating in midair, I've got this other stamp that I'm just going to put some sort of grassy bits there we go. I think we're good on that. Get rid of that. And that. And then we just get some, this is some silver embossing powder. Oop. And it goes everywhere, Sind. I got a little bit of stuff that I don't really want here, so we get rid of that. There we go. Make sure there's none on my trees here. Okay, so let's cook that, as I used to say to my ladies. You need to cook it until it's shiny. Let's put the top on that so I don't knock it off. It wouldn't be the first time. And then we're just going to give it a little heat, and it will turn from that dull old grey powder to lovely silver. I think that was one of the things that really took me when I started doing card crafting, was when somebody showed me heat embossing. And look at that. I mean, it just looks so special. So there's my heat embossing. Right, so I'm gonna cut myself a couple of dear little deers. So again, it's this die set that's got the dear little deers, and I've got some silver card, and then I'm going to cut 2 little deers. So I've got a largish one here, and I've just got a bit of tape on it so it doesn't move. So let's just pop that like that, and then we can just crank that through. Go on. There we go. Well, it helps if you get your sandwich right, Sind. It's not got anything to bite onto, that's why. There we go. Yeah, if you let's set it up right, it's going to work. There we are. Let's get myself straightened up again, otherwise we'll all be looking at it cross-eyed rather, eared. What's going through my mind? I just dropped my adhesive on the floor. There we go. So there, and we can just get a little pokey tool and ease that little one out there, and this one here. Right. So when I had to retire as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator when we moved back to the UK, I made a decision that because I couldn't transfer my demonstratorship to the UK, I decided that I wouldn't sign up again here, because I was demonstrator for nearly 15 years in the States, and I decided that I would use the opportunity to play with new and different products, and so that's what I've been doing. However, saying that, I still love Stampin' Up's cardstock and inks. I've tried other inks and they haven't really worked for me, so I think once you get used to something, you kind of sort of stick with it. But yeah, so, but what I have found is some other little tools like this, for instance. Now, this is magnetic, and this is fantastic for putting your dies on when you're using them. I know somebody told me that they used like a little magnetic tray that they got from like an auto parts store. That works as well if you're looking for a solution to wandering dies, which I've lost in some in the past because I didn't have them. Now I've just realized I'm talking about stuff and I need to do the bottom bit. Now then, I need to trim a piece off, and so we're going to get the trimmer out, and I'm just going to leave enough to do the fancy piece at the bottom. And so I think I need to take off just about 7/8, not much. Oh, sorry, about just under 7/8. So that gives me that, and I've got this scrap which I'm not going to waste, and I've got this really old punch, but you know, this is one of my very favorite punches, and I just love the fact that it edges, and it's not quite 2 inches, but we can just pop that back in until we can see like that, and then we can just trim that little bit off like that. And now I can put my little guy down, because it would be too thick without him, I think. So we just pop that there like that. And then I'm going to pop this piece on the back. So this is where you're going to write your to you, love from me. And now this is just like a solvent based glue. It's a nice glue to use because it doesn't make your paper warp like or card warp like the paper based one, water based one does. So I only picked it up because I couldn't get this one to work. So I think the hole's blocked. So that's really the only reason. But as I say, sometimes with a water-based adhesive, it can make your paper, particularly if you're using thin paper, it can make it sort of warp a little bit until it's dry. So there's a nice little deer on the back to just make it attractive. Now, when we put the ribbon through, this little hole is not enough for the ribbon to go through. It needs a bit of reinforcing. So I'm going to use this scrap, and I've got this neat little punch, and let's see, I don't quite know how it works, but hey ho, I'm sure it will tell us soon. All right, where have you gone? Oh, look, there it is. It's in there. There we are. So I've got this little eyelet. See, that's the trouble. You see these little things when you go places. Oh, there's a good idea. And then you got to work out how it works. So I'm just going to put an extra ring around that little hole. And then with a slightly bigger punch, I can actually go and punch a bigger hole for my ribbon, knowing that it's nicely reinforced. And that little bit that you can just see there, just peeking through, will not show once I got my ribbons in my ribbon in. Right, so let's just clear the decks a tinsy bit. Oh, there we go. And then we're going to choose one of these ribbons. I quite like the one with a little tree on it. So let's see. And well, it doesn't want to give up its stickiness. Right, so I'm gonna have to sacrifice that first little bit because it's got adhesive on it. So let's go, and maybe I'll be able to use a little bit. I'll have an occasion for a small piece at some point. Right, so let's pull a piece off, and then all I'm going to do is just fold it in half like that. Now I've worked out how to make these. I'm going to set myself up a little production line where I can probably churn these out at quite... Oh, there you go. Oops. I'm going to have to repair that. Note to self, don't pull too hard. Well, it just shows you. I think I'll be all right. There. Anyway, we're good. So there we are, some really pretty gift tags. A little bit posh, but still really easy and quick to make. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, perhaps go ahead, give me a little thumbs up. I certainly appreciate you choosing to spend a bit of time with me today, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye for now.